Hey all. So I thought the Behemoth 2 might be a good candidate for the next narrated demo. Um, for those of you who don't know, the Behemoth, the first incarnation of this, was the first pedal I ever designed, and it everything grew from that. It That circuit taught me so much about electronics and audio electronics, and it before that I would look inside of a pedal, some boss pedal, and just have like all these parts, just so much stuff, and I'm like, that's too much, man. I don't know, I can't get my head wrapped around that. And then, experimenting, with a very simple single transistor circuit, I found I could get everything I wanted. It took my bass and made my bass sound louder and beefier and like clearer, more articulate. Like it was like took this crappy bass and made it sound incredible. And then I, made it so that you could cut the highs if you want it for like different flavors. It actually had like a rotary switch, which I kind of, I really liked that type of tone control, even though it wasn't like, you know, adjustable in the sense of, continuous control. But anyway, and then of course you could crank up the gain on it and drive it and get it, get this awesome tube like overdrive. Um, so yeah, and so it kind of opened my eyes to things, and you know, literally everything after that kind of, was one circuit was born from another circuit, from the Behemoth to another one, and then this and this and this and this, and um, you know, and now here we are. um, and over the years, I tweaked the circuit and tweaked it, and I decided to, initially the idea was it was going to be like a preamp, like serve the function of a preamp, something you could keep on all the time, something that would be kind of a part of your amp in a way, just like giving your bass some more juice and some life, um, and it still can serve that purpose, but I wanted it to be able to be give you more flavors of overdrive, and the inspiration for the clipping side of the pedal, comes from my love of late 60s early 70s, heavy rock bass overdrive tones, like Jack Bruce and Tim Bogert and um, Geezer Butler, and then Lemmy, and and I wanted a pedal that could get you close to those all those different sounds. Like if you wanted that cream Jack Bruce tone, you could get something pretty close to that. If you wanted more of like an SVT Tim Bogert sound, you could get that. If you want more like distort, you know bass distortion, of Motorhead, mid period Motorhead or whatever, you could get that, and a good place to start your tone off, and um a lot of people who own these, they tell me the same thing. They're like, this is my always on pedal. It's like either it's their clean or cleanish tone that they leave on, and then they, will kick on their megalith to get heavier distortion. Wink, wink. Um, so yeah, so let's check it out. There is one control on the inside. There's a dip switch that um, bumps up the gain. I tweaked the circuit recently. I wanted a little more headroom, and at the same time more saturation at the distortion end. Not nothing too drastic, but just a little bit on either end. And I also wanted Clipping Voice 1 to break up slightly better, quote unquote, than it was, and I achieved all that. And the dip switch, allows you to go from if you want more headroom or less headroom. And so, yeah, so we have the drive control. This is the first thing that your bass sees. It's basically just like an attenuator to determine how hard your bass is hitting the circuit. And all the controls are very interactive, and the intensity of their effect is determined by how high you have the drive set. Like the higher the drive is set, the more these other controls will do, the more they will do. So let's first show you, if you want, more of a clean boost. It doesn't get clean, but it gets cleanish for some people. Oops, wrong note. The pedal is very sensitive to your playing dynamics, so you pluck lightly. I'll just do it. This has a lot of output, and it easily overdrives my head, so I'm gonna have to try to keep the output set just right, because the more you have the drive turned up, the louder it is, and the different clipping voices, you will see that changes the output as well. So I'll try to keep it so that you're not hearing like the amp clipping, and it's not a good clipping either, so I'll just give you an idea of what it sounds like when the amp is clipping. Clipping Voice 3 is kind of interesting because it's almost as if there is a clean blend, which I know a lot of bass players swear by it. The reason why the Behemoth doesn't have one is because I don't feel it's necessary, because the low end is retained no matter how you have the pedal set. And in most settings, the low end is, boosted. And it also, keeps there's a good fundamental as well going, overtone through it. And especially, Clipping Voice 3 is it's the most saturation you'll get, and it's also the one that has this cleanish overtone. I'm not sure if it's coming through very well, but it's as if there's the clean. Let's see. We'll mess around with the dip switch a little bit just to give you an idea of what it does. It's not super drastic, and it's definitely more noticeable when you're sitting in front of the amp. I personally like it with pedal still and shut. I like it on. I just like the hotter sound, even when you have it set more cleanish. It just kind of gives it a little bit more life. Alright, so next control is the waveform control. Keep trying to, over the years, trying to figure out like a better name for it. What it does is kind of hard to, explain or give a name to or whatever. So I gave it something that's technically correct, that changes the waveform. What it does is it does a few different things at once. It adds compression. It adds some asymmetrical clipping, and it adds some low pass filtering. But it's filtering at a certain frequency, and it's hard. I'll just show you. And again, the higher the drive is set, the more the other controls waveform, the more their effect is noticeable. And when you have it turned all the way to the left, it's doing nothing. The circuit is pulled completely out of the circuit. And then as you raise it up, first you'll notice the compression, and then you'll notice some of the clipping, and then you'll notice the filtering come in. And when you have it all the way to the right, it has this kind of like deeper, almost scooped mid kind of thing going on. And last but not least, is the filter control, which is just a passive low pass filter, tone control. It's just there to, shave off some of the high end, if that's your thing. And again, the higher the drive control is set, the more you notice it, and that's because in this case, it's because the higher the drive is set, the more the circuit is clipped, so the more you have these higher harmonics, so there's more to filter. Anyway, that's the Behemoth 2. Hopefully it has shed a little light on what the pedal can do, how the controls work. I love it. It's such an important piece in the lineup of the Mountainking lineup. Like I said earlier too, I know plenty of guitarists that love this pedal as well. It's like a different. It's what it does on regular guitar is kind of different than what it does on. It's hard to explain, but it has this unique dimension. It's probably the best way to describe it. I'll do a demo of it on guitar at some point, maybe later today even. I don't know. We'll see how the day goes. Got a lot of stuff to do. All right. Thanks all.